with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Everyone recognizes the faces on Sgt. Pepper, the gurus, the movie stars, the icons of 1967. But the version you've seen for the last 60 years is a lie.
It is. Hidden behind the Beatles and literally airbrushed out of history are three of the most controversial figures of the 20th century. John Lennon fought to keep them in.
But the record label was terrified of a global riot and censored them.
Absolutely terrifying.
But who was scrubbed from the cover, and what does it tell us about the hidden power struggle inside the band? Today, we are breaking down every single person on this cover, row by row.
And we're starting at the top with a group of gurus and, well, a very naughty occultist.
Let's do it. We're scanning the back row, far left.
Yeah.
And right away, you can tell who picked this first guy. It feels very George Harrison.
Oh, spot on. That's Sri Yukteswar. He was a famous Hindu guru. And this is George, well, he's planting his flag.
This is him saying, I'm not just the guitar player anymore.
Exactly. He's diving headfirst into Eastern philosophy, into meditation. He wanted his spiritual teachers on the cover, not just rock stars.
But then, right next to this holy man, we get someone from the complete opposite end of the spectrum, Aleister Crowley.
And the contrast is just, it's jarring, isn't it?
Totally.
I mean, if Yukteswar is George reaching for the light, Crowley is John Lennon staring right into the abyss.
He was the wickedest man in the world, according to the tabloid.
The wickedest man in the world, a notorious English occultist. His whole philosophy was do what thou wilt.
And that resonated with John.
Deeply. John was obsessed with rebels, with anyone who upset polite society. So you have George bringing enlightenment and John bringing the dark arts. It really sets the tone.
Moving on, we get to Hollywood. Mae West. Now, she was not thrilled to be invited, was she?
She was a tough sell, a legendary sex symbol. When they asked her, she famously replied, "What would I be doing in a Lonely Hearts Club?"
She thought it was an insult.
She did. The band had to write her a personal letter to convince her it was a tribute.
And next to her, Lenny Bruce.
Oh, another John Lennon pick for sure.
Absolutely.
But more than just a comedian, really. He was a martyr for free speech. He died just the year before, in '66.
He was constantly getting arrested for obscenity.
Just for using words on stage, John saw him as truth teller, someone persecuted for saying what everyone else was thinking.
Then we shift from American comedy to the German avant-garde. Karl-Heinz Stockhausen.
And this is pure Paul McCartney.
Right. People pigeonhole Paul as the pop guy, the yesterday guy.
But he was the one in London soaking up the weird experimental art scene. Stockhausen was doing electronic music, tape loops, sound collages.
You can hear that all over the album.
Oh.
Day in the Life, that chaotic orchestral part.
That's Stockhausen's influence?
Yeah.
100%. Next to him is W.C. Fields.
The original curmudgeon.
A group favorite. They loved his dry, cynical wit. It was very much their own style.
And then we get a bit of a random one. Jung Woo-kuo.
A Chinese military officer? Honestly, this is just John being John, flipping through a history book, picking a face he liked. It adds to the chaos.
But right next to him, a big influence, Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I Am the Walrus directly references him. John loved that surreal, macabre wordplay.
Then we have Fred Astaire.
Old school Hollywood. And unlike Mae West, he was delighted to be included.
And a guy named Richard Merkin.
A painter, a friend of Peter Blake, who designed the cover, a little nod to the London art scene.
Okay, now we have to talk about the empty space. If you look at that top row, there's a very distinct blue gap.
The ghost of Leo Gorcey. It's a great story. Gorcey and Hunt's Hall were the Bowery Boys.
Famous movie characters.
Right. The Beatles grew up watching them. They wanted both. Hunt's Hall said yes for free.
But Leo Gorcey saw an opportunity.
He did. He demanded $400 for the rights to use his face.
Which wasn't nothing back then.
No, but the Beatles were spending a fortune on this cover. They drew the line. They basically said, no chance, and they airbrushed him out.
So that blue gap is where he should be. And poor Hunt's Hall is just standing there next to a void.
A permanent monument to getting greedy.
So who's next?
Simon Rodia, the Watts Towers guy.
An outsider artist.
The ultimate outsider artist. He built these huge towers in LA from scrap metal and broken bottles. It's about making something beautiful on your own terms.
And then, the man who arguably rewired their brains, Bob Dylan.
You cannot overstate his importance. He was the one who told them their songs were great, but they didn't say anything.
He pushed them beyond, I want to hold your hand.
He really did. He forced them to take songwriting seriously as an art form. Without Dylan, Sgt. Pepper just doesn't happen.
Next is Aubrey Beardsley.
A 19th century illustrator, all those swirling psychedelic posters from the 60s.
That's his style.
That's all from him, Art Nouveau. He basically invented the look of the hippie era before it even existed.
Then we have Sir Robert Peel, Bobby.
The father of the modern police force. It's a playful, ironic nod to authority, putting a cop in the middle of this counterculture party.
And right nearby, Aldous Huxley.
Author of The Doors of Perception, he was required reading for the hippies. He intellectualized the whole psychedelic experience.
We have another Dylan, Dylan Thomas.
The Welsh poet. And of course, Bob Dylan took his name from him. So you have the inspiration and the student on the same row.
We finished the top row with Terry Southern and Dion DiMucci.
Terry Southern wrote Dr. Strangelove, very hip, and Dion.
Well, he represented that cool, street-level 50s rock and roll energy.
Okay, let's drop down to the middle row. We start with some glamour. Tony Curtis.
The movie star. Some like it hot, just pure Hollywood charisma that they grew up idolizing.
And Wallace Berman.
An assemblage artist. This is a bit of a meta joke. Berman made collages, and here he is inside the most famous collage in history.
Then Tommy Handley.
A British radio comic from the war. If you want to know where John Lennon got his love for surreal wordplay and nonsense, listen to Tommy Handley.
And then, anchored right in the middle, Marilyn Monroe.
You have to have Marilyn.
The ultimate icon.
She grounds the whole thing in pop culture history. Next to her, William S. Burroughs.
Author of Naked Lunch, a total rebel. And here's the thing, Paul McCartney was actually good friends with him.
Really?
Yeah. Paul helped him set up a recording studio. It shows Paul wasn't just the cute Beatle, he was deep in the underground scene too.
Now we hit what looks like a delegation from the Himalayas. The Guru Block.
This is George taking over the cover again. We have Sri Mahavatar Babaji, Sri Lahiri Mahasaya, and Paramahansa Yogananda.
Yogananda is the key here.
He's the key. He wrote Autobiography of a Yogi. That book completely changed George's life. It started his whole spiritual journey.
So by clustering them all together,
He's making a massive statement. He's saying, we aren't just a pop band anymore. We are seekers.
and breaking up that spiritual vibe, Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy.
The childhood favorites. But notice they're split up by Richard Lindner, a pop art painter. A nice little visual trick.
And we have Karl Marx.
John's pick, obviously. And think about it. It's 1967, the Cold War, the Red Scare, and John Lennon puts the father of communism on a pop record.
It's a punk rock move before punk rock even existed.
It is. He wanted to challenge people.
And H.G. Wells.
The sci-fi author, the time machine. It mirrors what they were doing, pushing music into the future.
Now, we have to talk about the man on the far left of this row, Stuart Sutcliffe. This one hits differently.
It does. For me, this is the emotional core of the whole cover. Stewart was the original bass player for the Beatles.
Before Paul took over on bass.
Right. In the early Hamburg days, he was John's best friend, his soulmate. He left the band to be a painter and died of a brain hemorrhage in 1962.
Just before they made it big.
He never saw any of it. Beatlemania, nothing. John insisted he be on the cover. It's a ghost at the feast. It's John saying, we made it, Stu. You're here with us.
It adds this layer of grief to the whole thing.
It really does.
Let's finish the middle row. Max Miller, a petty girl, and Marlon Brando.
Max Miller, a vaudeville comedian. The Petty Girl, classic pinup art. And Brando, the wild one. He connects the 67 rebellion back to the 50s.
All right, down to the front row. The figures right behind the band. Tom Mix and Tyrone Power.
The matinee idols. Cowboys and adventurers they watched on Saturday mornings.
And Oscar Wilde.
Another of John's heroes.
Yeah.
The brilliant outsider who was persecuted by society. John identified with that.
Larry Bell.
A contemporary artist. Another nod to the high art world.
Then a pair of adventurers, David Livingstone and Johnny Weissmuller.
Dr. Livingstone and Tarzan. It really feels like a boy's scrapbook, doesn't it? Very nostalgic.
And tucked away, Stephen Crane.
You can barely see his head. He rode the Red Badge of Courage.
And then Issy Bond. He's famous for an accident.
A very famous accident. His hand is raised, and it looks like it's hovering right over Paul McCartney's head.
One of the biggest Paul is dead clues.
Oh, the conspiracy theorists went wild. They said it was a symbol of death. It was just a coincidence, but it fueled that fire for years.
And now, standing right next to the real Beatles, are the old Beatles.
The Waxworks. George, John, Ringo, and Paul from 1964. The Mop Tops.
Why include themselves twice?
I think it's symbolic suicide. The old Beatles are dead. They are looking at the new Beatles, the mustaches, the satin uniforms. It's a funeral for their past selves.
And Wax Paul's in a gray suit, unlike the others.
Another clue for the conspiracy theorists. Exactly.
We're almost there. Albert Stubbins.
A Liverpool footballer, a nod to their working-class roots.
And Lewis Carroll.
The author of Alice in Wonderland. You can't overstate his importance. The surrealism, the topsy-turvy logic, that is the DNA of Sgt. Pepper.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
It's pure Lewis Carroll.
Finally, on the far right, T.E. Lawrence, Sonny Liston, Shirley Temple.
Lawrence of Arabia, Sonny Liston for raw power, and Shirley Temple appears twice, once as a doll and once as a cutout.
And the props. The goddess Lakshmi in the hookah.
That's George again. The goddess of wealth and the flowers and hookah pipe right in the garden. Not so subtle, really.
And in the center of it all, the Beatles, the only living people in the shot.
The center of this strange universe they created.
But, as we said at the start, this wasn't the whole story. This brings us to the uncomfortable truths.
This is where it gets really interesting, because the list of people John Lennon wanted on that cover tells a very different story.
Let's start with the most shocking one.
Yes. John Lennon,
He couldn't have been serious. Why?
it was pure shock value. John wanted to offend. He wanted to see if he could get away with putting the ultimate evil on a pop record. They even made a cutout of him.
Was he in the photo?
He was there at the shoot, but in the final shot, he's completely hidden behind the band. But the fact that John fought for him shows you his mindset.
Then there's Mahatma Gandhi.
Gandhi was actually in the lineup. He was there, but at the last minute, the record label, EMI, panicked.
They were worried about the Indian market.
Terrified that it would be seen as blasphemy, as disrespectful, so they painted him out.
With what?
A palm tree. If you look on the right side of the cover, there's a palm tree. That tree is hiding Mahatma Gandhi. It's pure corporate censorship.
And the third major figure who was banned. Jesus Christ.
John requested Jesus,
Of course he did.
but this was right after the more popular than Jesus controversy in America. Records were being burned. EMI said absolutely not. No way.
So the cover we see is really a compromise.
It's a battlefield.
Yeah.
You have Leo Gorcey erased for greed, Gandhi painted over because of fear. Jesus, just to mess with people.
It's a clash between John's need to offend, George's spirituality, Paul's love for the avant-garde.
And the record label trying to keep the whole thing from being banned. The fact it came together at all is kind of a miracle. It really changes how you see it.
It's not just a pretty picture. It's a document of the chaos.
That's it exactly. And that's what makes it the greatest album cover of all time.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Whenever you feel like knowing more about the Beatles, visit us at BeatlesRewind.com. It's the Beatles, all day, every day, 8 days a week. Cass will do it again tomorrow.
Right. Only if I can bring my own wax figure next time.
Until next time, when you listen.
Your mind conducts its own symphony.